Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Edward sent me notes, and Steve, check out the story from Texas. We've talked lately about tags or license plates on cars. No more paper. Texas DMV to replace paper tags with metal plates. And it comes because of a KPRC2 investigation into crimes linked to paper tags in Texas. I've seen some reports on this, including some by them, I believe, where they showed how easy it is to get a paper tag from somebody who's advertising them on like Facebook Marketplace. And you buy a tag from some guy at a gas station. It's not real. But you put it in the back window of your car, and it looks real. And so a police officer's driving on the road, and he looks over, and he sees a paper tag in the back of window of a car, and it's at an angle, and it's tinted, and can't read it. Besides that, the numbers aren't as big on the tag as they are on a metal tag. So KPRC2's series of investigations into the problem back in 2021 pushed lawmakers to tackle the issue. So this coming July will mark the end of temporary paper tags on Texas vehicles. This TV station showed how big the problem had grown when fake temporary paper tags were popping up on getaway vehicles of suspects as far away as New York. Criminals in Texas have been using these tags to evade law enforcement, and some people have been using them because it's cheaper than buying the real ones. So the question is, what will dealers do? They sell you a car, what will they do? Dealers will have a stash of metal plates assigned to new vehicles they sell. And they've been doing this in Michigan for a while. So in Michigan, you can go to a Secretary of State's office and get a metal plate. Or if you buy a brand new vehicle at a dealership, they've got them there. And so they're authorized to do everything with a transaction that the Secretary of State's office does. And then they also take the money from you and remit that to the state. The bill to eliminate paper tags was passed in the legislature a couple years ago. Legislation stated that license plates would stay with the car even when sold. However, just this month, a different bill passed the state Senate to change that. The new bill will require that metal plates stay linked to the person, not the vehicle. I know in some states, when you sell your car, the plates stay on it and the person transfers those plates into their name. I've never liked that idea, but do what you want to do here. A senator explained that Senate Bill 1902, which has already passed the Senate, is awaiting approval by the House. You trade in your car, you buy a new car. It doesn't matter if it's a used car or a later model used car. You take the plate off the car and put it in the new car, literally. The DMV has both information, the owner and where you live, and those kinds of things, which is how we do it here. Car dealers support this change because fewer plates to store is more efficient. Regardless of whether Senate Bill 1902 passes, dealers will no longer print paper tags beginning July 1st. If you have one on your car, it will become suspicious to law enforcement, and they might pull you over. And in that case, you can say, well, no, I just bought a car in the last week of June. It's possible. In private sales, the buyer will keep the license plates and register the vehicle in their name with their county tax assessor collector's office. Sellers of Texas titled vehicles should submit a vehicle transfer notification within 30 days of the sale to update their motor vehicle record. And so I've mentioned before, and it's one of those things. It was actually the first article I ever wrote for Jalopnik that did really, really well. Hundreds of thousands of views and so on. I pointed out how it depends on what state you're in. But in many states, when you sell your car to somebody, you just sign off on the back of the title and hand them the title, and you hope that they get the title transferred into their own name. Now, I would advise somebody in a state where that's how simple a transaction is, that you should accompany them to the Secretary of State's office or the DMV and watch them as they do it. So you sign it, they sign it, so apply for a brand new title then and there. Now, some states have a thing that's on the title that the owner who sells the vehicle, the seller, can fill out and submit to the state and say, I sold this car. So expect a title application from somebody down the road. I've yet to hear a real good answer, though, on what happens if that person doesn't. So in other words, let's suppose that I sell my car to you, I fill the thing out and send it into the state, and you don't get it titled in your name. Let's suppose you drive it to another state and get in a car accident with it. So you're not going to show up in the system if you haven't applied for title. and I'm going to say I sold that car. I'm wondering, am I really completely insulated that transaction? Because I've mentioned this before, many states have got owner liability. The owner of a car is liable for things that are done with that car, for the most part. So what happens is you sell your car to somebody. You sign the title over, you hand them the title. They say thank you, and they drive off, and you're in a state that doesn't have the thing where you submit the paper to the state. They're driving the car, racking up tickets, leaving it parked illegally places, and then one day it's involved in an accident from which the driver runs away, literally swings the door open and runs off into the darkness. Hit and run, okay? Police call you and go, hey, we need to speak to you about that car accident involving your such and such. Oh, I sold that car. Oh, you did? To whom? Some guy off of Facebook Marketplace. Okay, do you have any records of it? And I've spoken to people who didn't. I've actually spoken to people who said, guy called me, I told him the car barely runs, but I'll take $1,000 for it. Guy showed up, said, yeah, I'll take it, hands me $1,000, I hand him a signed title, and he disappears. So you don't know who bought the car? No. Guy gets in an accident, next thing you know, there's all kinds of bills coming to this person, possibly lawsuits. Now, if you can prove those facts, you can win that lawsuit, i.e. you can get out of it, but do you really want to get involved in litigation? And one of the most interesting things is that people will hear this story and go, have I ever done that before? And I'll get all kinds of comments. People say, Steve, I live in a state where you hand the person a title and you hope they go title it. And I've done that and nothing bad happened. Great. I'm not saying it happens to everybody. I'm saying it has happened and it could happen. That's my biggest concern. So the idea that license plates go with the car, I know California's done that for a long time. I don't know if they still do it, but I know they did it a while back. That's always kind of bugged me, that you sell a car to somebody and the plates leave and go with the car. Like there is something personal about the plates, even if they aren't personalized, right? So I understand that if you have a vanity plate, you can probably keep the vanity plate because you paid extra for it and you can probably transfer that. But just the typical run-of-the-mill number plate, although I know they're not all numbers, those often travel with the vehicle, which has always seemed odd to me. But I mentioned the idea about license plate renewals the other day, and I mentioned how Michigan went to you renew it on your birthday or the month of your birthday. And I said, and I think many states have gone to that system rather than having everybody renew their plates on, by December 31st. I got a very kind note from a viewer in Minnesota who said, Steve, interestingly, what we've done here is we've gone to not birthdays, but the month you purchased the car. So if you bought the car in January, you just get a 12-month plate that renews in January. You buy a second car in March, it renews in March. I said, so someone who might own 5 cars has got to renew 5 separate times during the year? Yes, apparently. Now, the point is that you don't want everyone trying to renew at the exact same time. But in Michigan, it's on your birthday. And so not only do I have to renew all that stuff, but I've got other things that are licensed with the state, such as I have a canoe that has a motor on it, the result of which is I got to license it, the MC number and all that. So another story altogether. The point here is that Texas is doing away with the paper tags because they had become just something that criminals were using and it got out of control. And this is how you do it. You get rid of the paper tags and you say, no, the dealership, when they sell you a car, will give you the metal plate there that'll go with the car for the long term. And the paper tags are going to go away. So there you go. Edward, thanks for sending that from KPRC2. No more paper. Texas DMV to replace paper tags with metal plates. Questions or comments, put them below this. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Be kind. We never know what people are going through. One day your circumstance could change and you may need it.